Some shocking news to tell you about on the departure front. I mean, we got tons of them. But perhaps the most stunning one of all is Tucker Carlson out at Fox News. We're going to get into it. Don Lemon's also out over at CNN. Bud Light's executive in charge of marketing. She's out. Leave of absence, so they say. We're on it. Plus AOC, here's a new one. She actually wants to regulate conservative media. I mean, as if the First Amendment wasn't under threat enough. And we got some bad news for Joe Biden today, who's just about to declare his candidacy in 2024. Wait till you hear what the Democratic Party thinks of this. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. I am Trish Regan. As always, we are brought to you in part by Legacy Precious Metals. We're watching gold right now. In today's trading, slightly below 2,000. Some people would consider this a deal. I don't know. I don't weigh in on that. I just know that gold is something that a lot of people, including myself, look at as a safe haven for the long term, like really, really long term, because of the economic fundamentals being rather in question here in the United States. If you're of that camp, go take a look. LegacyPMInvestments.com. You can buy and sell gold and silver right there online. It's actually a new feature they have, or you can call them at 1-866-589-0560. Again, 1-866-589-0560, LegacyPMInvestments.com. We begin on the news that there will be no more Tucker Carlson at Fox News. Now, it's shocking in that this was Fox's undoubtedly most successful program that they had on television. And it comes just days after that big settlement with Dominion. Because, of course, Dominion was suing for slander because Fox was running a bunch of stuff that suggested their voting machines were not all that. And Dominion, in turn, said, well, you know what, we're gonna sue you for libel. And they were successful. They had this big settlement, but it wasn't really big enough. In fact, they were looking for $1.6 billion. And as I've told you, look, Fox can swing it. Fox can afford it. It's making more than $2 billion a year, really, in just the Fox News division. So I was somewhat surprised that Dominion didn't hang out for maybe a little bit more money. One has to wonder, was this a contingency? Who knows? I just think it's rather shocking that they did this. So more will come out in the coming days. But Fox did issue a statement. Actually, one of their anchors announced the news on air.
Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have mutually agreed to part ways. Tucker's last show was this past Friday. And starting tonight, Fox News Tonight will air live at 8 p.m. Eastern. It will be an interim show with rotating Fox News personalities until a new host is named. We want to thank Tucker Carlson for his service to the network as a host and prior to that as a long-term contributor.
She seems almost a little scared. Maybe she was feeling some of the heat of that, but of course the internet's going crazy saying, wow, this feels like a hostage video. Anyway, very brief statement from Fox thanking Tucker for his work and saying that they were indeed parting ways. That's not the only network getting rid of talent. Over at CNN, Don Lemon is out there. That one you kind of saw coming, though, because he'd said a bunch of stuff that really angered a lot of people internally. The morning show was sort of struggling. It didn't have the right chemistry. That one doesn't really surprise me quite as much. I think that was in the making. This one also doesn't surprise me, and that would be Anheuser-Busch.
Oh, no. Here we go again. Here we go again.
The head of marketing, take a look at her here. This woman somehow thinks or thought she knew better than the Bud Light customers themselves. Listen.
So I had this super clear mandate. It's like we need to evolve and elevate this incredibly iconic brand. What does evolve and elevate mean? It means inclusivity. It means shifting the tone. We had this hangover. I mean, Bud Light had been kind of a brand of fratty, kind of out of touch humor. And it was really important that we had another approach.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, that's not going to work. You know, I'll tell you, there's a little too much Harvard elitism in there. The CEO of the company went to Harvard Business School as well. I mean, I'm nothing against Harvard. I'm just saying that clearly all these educational opportunities and degrees really don't do a lot in terms of helping these people to understand who their customer is.
Wait, what?
And why something like, you know, having Dylan Mulvaney come in and market the beer would be a massive problem. It is a massive problem. So many of you have reached out and you've told me some wonderful stories. Make some comments below, by the way. I always check them. You've told me about how Bud Light maybe played a big role in your life, or an Anheuser-Busch perhaps, and they've lost you. They've lost you forever as a customer. And you're already, I know, you're looking at all the other beers that they have because you don't want to drink any of them. It's kind of a betrayal, if you would, because all the things that represent America.
Where's the booze?
They're trying with their new commercial. The horses, the flags, the patriotism, all those things that Anheuser-Busch seemed to represent were just thrown out the window when they brought in this actor. And I point that out because he is an actor and he identified as gay, but now is suddenly trans. And a lot of people, even within the gay and trans community, are like, hey, who is this guy? Really? You know, Johnny Come Lately or Holly Golightly? He just showed up like on the scene and has been doing this in part as a bit of a shtick, they fear, just to gain more brand awareness and acceptance, which of course all these woke companies are just lining up to be part of. Well, it's amazing to see, but it's heartening to see how Americans can really take charge here and they can take this back in their own special way. I don't think her leaving the company, she said to be on, quote, a leave of absence. I'm sure it was torture for her, what she was going through, and she probably wasn't used to being in the public eye in that way. But also the company needed to do something because it didn't look like it was going so well. You just look at the numbers of sales already. We've gotten anecdotal evidence, not even anecdotal. There's been some reports that have come in showing, for example, that Bud Light sales are way down while its competitors, things like Coors Light, Molson Coors, it's ticker symbol TAP for those that are interested, they've been going way up. So people are migrating away from Bud Light to Coors Light. Understandable under the circumstances. I mean, guys are like, are you kidding me? You really think I'm going to drink this?
This is so disgusting.
So it's a great case study in how not to alienate your customer. There's a great movie, I think, with Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. How to Lose Your Customers there at Bud Light in 10 days. Actually, I think they did it in like 2 days. It was pretty amazing. The backlash has been significant. They should have seen it coming. They didn't. And I don't think it's over. I actually think that Bud Light is going to continue suffering here for the foreseeable future. And more people are going to say, look, I don't want it. It was too big of a political issue. And regardless of what side of the aisle you're on or whether you're pro-trans or anti-trans, who the heck wants to drink a Bud Light knowing that it's just going to spark a whole political debate? It's not worth it. It's beer time. Oh, okay. Time for our favorite socialist to be making waves again.
Must crush capitalism.
AOC. I mean, she's cuter than Bernie, you got to admit, right? AOC, Bernie. Come on, guys. Come on. Bernie might actually be a lot smarter, though. She's got some rather really wacky ideas. I remember how she didn't want Amazon to come to her district, even though it would have offered all these jobs and improved the economy, et cetera. Par for the course with her. She says a lot of rather idiotic things, but this might actually take the cake. Clearly, the woman has no understanding of our Constitution, no understanding of our First Amendment, because she's got a brilliant new idea to regulate conservative media. You see, it was conservative media, in her estimation, that brought on January 6th and thus is potentially in jeopardy of overthrowing the country.
That doesn't make sense.
AOC specifically wants to regulate none other than Fox News. Specifically Fox News, because Fox News is the one, in AOC's estimation, that incites violence. In fact, she said Tucker Carlson and some of the other folks on Fox, they do. And it's a very, very clear incitement of violence. Oh, okay, really, forget what we hear on the other side. Forget what we hear from MSNBC. Forget what we've seen in the streets. I mean, I just go back to some of the horrific video that we've seen, even from just as recently as last weekend, the teen takeover in Chicago, where lawmakers in this case were completely dismissing it. Remember Lori Lightfoot saying, no, this isn't mayhem. Do you remember also the mayor-elect saying, no, this is actually not looting because it's the corporations that are looting the kids. It goes on. And I realize AOC and the rest of the Democrats want to have their own way and they want their own view protected and out there front and center. But this is still a free country after all. We still have a First Amendment after all. And thus, look, I mean, the reality is if Fox gets sued by Dominion, they're sued by Dominion because we have a legal system and they pay a settlement fee. In this case, $750 million. So they have their punishment. It's not the government's job to come in here and tell us what we can say or what we can't say. Of course, they've done that. Don't forget, there were 51 spies that put that lovely letter together saying that the Hunter laptop was nothing but a bunch of disinformation from the Russians, when in fact, actually, the laptop was real. It was the, Trump dossier that was the actual misinformation, disinformation, from whatever you want to call it. And not really from the Russians. That was from opposition research. I mean, come on. So the idea that AOC thinks that she can shut down the media really showcases how little she understands about our Constitution, how little she respects our country and our Constitution. Turning to President Biden, as he gets ready to declare his candidacy for 2024, he's doing so in a really negative environment, one in which his own party no longer supports him. Just really stunning numbers to tell you about. These are from NBC News, a new poll showing that the majority of Democrats, they don't even want him to run. In fact, the majority of the country doesn't even really want him to run. Let me share with you the numbers. 53% of voters who supported Joe Biden in 2020 say they believe the president should not run in 2024. Well, he's really failing with young people. Young people are like, whoa.
This is sad. You're like an old panda that's going to get put down at the zoo.
This guy's a little too old for me. 76% of the people under the age of 35 that would vote for him say they don't want him to run again. Meanwhile, there's this other poll by NBC News that shows in a head-to-head matchup, a Republican would fare better than Joe Biden. Look, if I'm the Democrats right now, I'd want to have a heart-to-heart with the guy. I'd want to say, who you got that you could sort of anoint here and maybe help? He's not going to go for that. I mean, he is a political animal. And I also think in some ways that brings on a new set of problems for them, because who else are they going to run? I mean, Kamala? That for sure. I mean, that would for sure give the Republicans the victory that they want in 2024 if they were to run Kamala Harris, because her negatives are off the charts. Her inability to really showcase what she knows, if anything, is also off the charts. I mean, the laugh alone, right? So Kamala's not going to work. Pete Buttigieg, I'm sorry, forget about it. So who are you left with? I mean, Newsom? I'm sorry, out in California, everybody's leaving the place in droves. So they don't have a very deep bench, shall we say here. All they're left with is Biden, the old guy who would be 86. Like, I'm not an ageist, but I'm just telling you, look, he's 80 right now. He'd be 86 when he left office. He is not a spring chicken. He has never been eloquent, let's be honest, but it has gotten a whole lot worse. So no, Biden's not the guy to run. And so that's why I suspect a lot of Democrats are really hoping that Donald Trump runs again, because, and right now it looks like he'll get it. I mean, he's way ahead in the polls. He is going to be, at least as of this moment in time, the Republican nominee for president. So if Donald Trump's the one that Joe Biden's running against, I think the Democrats feel like, okay, they get some kind of fighting chance because they won before. And then, you can throw in all your deep state professionals into the mix to tell you anything that would be negative on Biden is really nothing but Russian disinformation. So all that combined, I think they have a fighting chance with Biden. And don't forget, they thought they had that in 2016, and they sure did. I think they totally underestimated Trump back in 2016. So you have to be, if you're the Democrat, be pretty cautious in this environment. They worry about Ron DeSantis. I suspect they think, well, now that, his back is up against the wall and the base is rallying around him, they think that's a good thing for Trump, because then he'll be the nominee. But I would just once again urge caution, because they thought they had it all locked up in 2016. And they sure as heck did not. Anyway, short show today, because I just wanted to hit some of these hits, runs, and errors with you. And I want to encourage you once again to go and subscribe to the Full Audio Podcast on Apple. Do me the favor of making sure that you subscribe to this channel and that you hit the bell right here. But before I leave you, I do want to just show you my favorite little guy in the world, and that is none other than Fluffy, who's doing very well in part thanks to the wonderful supplement, the booster that I give him every single day in his food. I just sprinkle it right on top of his dinner every night. This would be Rough Greens. Rough Greens. This brings out the green, shall we say, in the food, or as Dr. Dennis Black, he's the naturopathic doctor that created this, as he likes to say, it takes that dead food and it makes it all come alive. Well, Fluffy certainly thinks so. Fluffy loves this stuff. And you just sprinkle a little bit on top of the regular food. I like it because I know he's getting all the nutrients he needs, the digestive enzymes, the amino acids, the proteins, the vitamins, all the things that he needs for a long and healthy, active life. So I'm doing my part. If you have a dog, you should check it out. You can get your free Jumpstart trial by going to roughgreens.com/Trish. That's important. My name, roughgreens.com, RUFF, greens.com /Trish for your free Jumpstart trial bag. Give it a shot. You just have to pay for shipping, and it'll be at your house in a couple of days. Let me know what you think. Again, I read the comments. I love hearing the stories about Bud Light from you guys. I mean, it's really been just remarkable how, I think, turned off you are. I would like to see a little more women turned off by what's happened with Nike, because don't forget the guys modeling Nike sports bras on top of it. Give me a break. Anyway, I'll see you right back here tomorrow. Good to see you as always, and we will continue the conversation. So much at stake.